Again, good afternoon, everybody. My name is José Rubio Iglesias. I work at the European Environment Agency as responsible for the coordination of the Copernicus In Situ component. And I'm very happy to be hosting today this webinar on CORDA, the Copernicus Reference Data Access platform, which is one of the jewel of the crown of the Copernicus In Situ component. This is the single entry node for reference data, authoritative reference geospatial data access to Copernicus services. The idea with this webinar is basically to introduce you to the team behind CORDA, the colleagues from Bilbomática, Geograma, as well as EuroGeographics. We want to show you the functionalities of the system. We want you to solve any kind of questions you may have, and also to open up the discussion for try to receive your feedback for future evolution of the platform. The main audience today in this webinar is the Copernicus service providers, of course. You are the main users of the platforms, but of course as well those data providers which are facilitating access to the geospatial reference data which access is facilitated through CORDA. I mean, not alone here. You see here I'm accompanied with Iñaki Díaz de Cerio, which is the project manager for CORDA. Also, Olga López de Turiso, who is the person responsible for the management of the content in CORDA, and Angela Baker, who is the head of partnership and sustainability in EuroGeographics, who has two hats here today as member of the CORDA team and also, of course, as member of EuroGeographics, representing a big bunch of data providers behind CORDA. Maybe Iñaki, if you can go to the next slide. Before we start the webinar with just a few housekeeping rules. As in the announcement, we expect that the webinar will last up to 1 hour. Let's see also how many questions we have from you and also any kind of discussion that we may have. The idea is that we have up to 1 hour. We are recording the webinar, so please note that in case you don't want to turn on the camera. The idea is that the recording is made available fully or in part. Please ensure your webcam is turned off during the presentation, just to save some bandwidth, and only turn it during the Q&A when we call you. We have a Q&A field where you can type any questions. The idea is we can address as many as possible during the Q&A at the end of the presentations. And of course, you can also raise your hand if you wish to speak. Again, it depends on how many people ask for the hand, we will be able to give you the floor. And of course, needless to say, important to, of course, be considerate with other attendees and presenters. Having said that, I think we can go to the next slide, and I will just go quickly through the agenda today. I'll give you a very brief introduction of why CORDA, or how CORDA is included or is part of this Copernicus In Situ component activities, the reason behind. And I will shut up very quickly to give the floor to Iñaki and Olga, who are really the experts behind the platform, to give you, let's say, a trip through the different functionalities. We also plan to give a demo today. Importantly, we'll then give the floor to Angela, where she will give the perspective of the data providers, because ultimately the idea with CORDA is to enable the access to authoritative national mapping and cadastral agency data. And the idea is that then we conclude with some thoughts about the next steps. We need your feedback to give us some future directions, how we want to evolve the platform, and then the idea is to have plenty of time for Q&A. So I will just then go to the introduction. If you can go to the next slide already, Iñaki. Thanks. So why CORDA and why is, as I said at the beginning, the jewel of the crown of the Copernicus In Situ component activities at the EA? Geospatial reference data is essential for Copernicus activities. It's essential for production and validation of Copernicus services. And when we speak about in more general in situ data, which covers not only geospatial data, but also observations and any kind of ancillary data used for Copernicus, is also very important in this context as well for calibration, validation of satellite sensors, and also Copernicus published in situ data as standalone products in some cases. I think what I like to highlight here, maybe more looking at the data providers who are really working with us in this, is that without in situ data, without geospatial data, the Copernicus program cannot simply deliver its data products and services. Next slide, Iñaki. If we look at especially geospatial data in Copernicus, is essential in the operations of our mapping services. And when we look at mapping services in Copernicus, most of you are working in the different services, so needless to say, are the on-demand mapping, the exposure mapping, as part of the Copernicus Emergency Management Services, most of the products of the Copernicus Land Monitoring Service, and most of the activities carried out under the Copernicus Security Services. And for all of them, geospatial data is in general essential to increase accuracy of the products, reduce delivery time, support the validation. For example, in Copernicus Land activities, is used for visual interpretation, feature delineation of land cover land use objects, training in classification, in the context of algorithms, and so on and so forth. So in general, the role of geospatial data is critical in Copernicus services. Next slide. Copernicus has a big dependence of a number of data providers. When it comes to in situ data, we don't have a dedicated in situ, let's say Copernicus in situ activity, let's say, or data. We really need to rely on the data provided by a number of institutions. And most of them, many of them, are actually coming from what we call the Copernicus participating countries, the member states of the European Union and those associated countries which are participating in the Copernicus program. Of course, we also depend on data coming from a number of research initiatives, infrastructures, and being Copernicus a global program, we depend as well on data coming from international organizations. I think what I want to highlight here, particularly and especially for those data providers joining today, is that your collaboration is essential for the success of the program. And it's not only kind of a one-directional by providing geospatial data from your country or from your region, we actually ensure that the product over your region is more accurate, is more precise, and it can benefit you as well as a potential user in the future. Next slide. Just a few words on how it works actually when it comes to Copernicus in situ. The EA is, let's say, in the center as coordinator of the cross-cutting elements of the Copernicus in situ activities, but we need to collaborate with a number of entrusted entities because they are really in charge of their daily operational activities when it comes to in situ data. So we are trying to support the entrusted entities, and one of the tools that we use to support them is actually CORDA. So you go to the next slide. Here you see the 4 main areas where we are actually working. I will not go in detail, but basically we try to cover different aspects related to in situ, from to engagement with data providers, to provide access to data, as well as providing any kind of support and advice when it comes to your spatial data, in situ data. You go to the next click again. CORDA is actually on focus as part of our data access activity. Next, strand of activities. Next slide. I will not go here in detail because that is the main purpose of the webinar, but CORDA is really aims to be an entry point or a single entry point to up-to-date national and regional authoritative geospatial data for Copernicus. So our main target users are the Copernicus mapping services. It's important, and Olga and Iñaki will highlight this. We don't host the data by default. By default, this always remains on the data provider. We are acting as a gateway to this data. What is important is that we do a continuous monitoring, and whenever you are, again, looking at the data providers updating your data, we then update our catalog. So the idea is that we can offer the service providers, the contractors working for the different trusted entities, the most up-to-date data at national level. We are also providing semantically harmonized multi-country database for key topics. That's what we call the multi-country datasets. We'll give you a bit of details later on. And again, because we are targeting Copernicus service providers as main users, and some of the data that we provide are not publicly available, this tool is restricted for Copernicus service providers, at least those data sets which have any kind of restrictions. We also have a category which is for non-restricted data that we can also use depending on the request. This webinar is part of what we call the user acceptance test, because we really want to gather as many input as possible to see how best to improve the user experience of CORDA. Next slide. And this is this work with CORDA is pretty much enhanced thanks to a service agreement that we signed with EuroGeographics, representing the European National Mapping, Cadastral and Land Registration agencies in Europe. The service agreement that we signed back in, well, we have a first step in 2017 for Copernicus Emergency Service, but then we open it up for in 2022 for all the three services. If you click again, I think I still have something in the slide. Yeah, this has already, since the last update of the service agreement, thanks to the excellent work between EuroGeographic members and CORDA, resulted in an increase over the last few months in more than 60 datasets, almost 200 services from 12 countries made now available in CORDA. So having said that, I think the next slide is already the actually tour through the platform. So I will then give the floor to Iñaki and Olga to present the main characteristics of CORDA and to give a demo. Of course, again, if you have already some questions, don't hesitate to use the Q&A function there to put your questions. Okay, so then Iñaki, I give you the floor. So please go ahead.
Thank you very much, José Miguel. As José Miguel mentioned, CORDA is the single entry point node for geospatial reference data for Copernicus services, mainly Copernicus Emergency Management Services, Land Monitoring Services, and Security Services. But we also give access to data providers, to CORDA platform, also to review the data that is hosted, that is registered in CORDA, to check that the data that they host is up to date, is exactly as it is in the data provider. We have 42 countries in CORDA, 300 data providers, more than 2,000 data sets, around 6,000 data sets labeled with 30 inspired themes, and a lot of different data types. But the important numbers, these are very important numbers, but the importance is the team that we have behind. As José Miguel has mentioned, we have a technical team and a content team that is monitoring the reference data, monitoring the data sets, and checking that everything is in place. So two kinds of data, let's say in CORDA, the indexed reference data, as I mentioned, that is hosted at data provider level, but we link it into CORDA, make it available through a single entry point node, so it is accessible to services. And we have also the multi-country datasets. These are hosted in CORDA, built with the idea of unifying thematically these datasets and having access to all this information in a single point. Okay. The main objectives of CORDA to have the data of relevance for Copernicus services according to data specifications, with the scale, with the attributes that are needed for that. For that, we have an step before, that is the data registration, where we check the quality of each of the spatial data services that are registered in CORDA, also the metadata. We also label the data sets according to the specifications. We also check the coverage of each of the spatial data services using the NATS codes, statistical units, so we can find them properly in a viewer. This is the third point, the findability of each of the data sets. We make this data set accessible. We monitor each of the data sets. We have a monitoring process to check each of the services, and we also update them every week. So this is thanks basically to the monitoring process that we have behind, as I mentioned. It's a monitoring process that is running daily. So we check all these spatial data services, links, metadata every day. We check the metadata, we check what is happening, what is changing, and we raise some automatic alerts to the content team so we can review fast what is happening and update it, so you can have a full catalog of reference data available and updated. As a result of this process, we have also some dashboards, like the monitoring status dashboard, that is showing the availability of each of the spatial data services. You will be able to check it in the demo, and also a dashboard showing the performance of each of the services as we are checking it daily. So now I give the floor to Olga to explain the registration process.
Yes, thank you. Better first to see how we manage with the information they provide us from monitoring. So the content team compiles information from nightly resources status analysis, plus change detected in the URL of related links and changes in the title or date of the metadata for the dataset or service. We analyzed alert message, all of them, to update the data indexed in CORDA. If we cannot find a solution, we seek assistance from the data provider, explaining the situation we have found to them. And with this process, we ensure that the information indexed in CORDA remains fresh and ready to be used. This one, please.
Yeah, something very important you mentioned is that we also contact the data providers. And I mentioned before that those data providers has also access to the platform to review their data, the data that we are linking in CORDA and that they host. So it's very important also this access, because they will be able to review how we are explaining each of the fields, how we are filling our metadata fields, and also they will be have access to the monitoring status and performance.
Okay, well, the CORDA scope is to work in the EEA 38 plus United Kingdom, and we prioritize the data that is downloadable, free of charge and openly licensed. But before indexing any data in CORDA, we perform the following quality checks. So we ensure the data is reliable by sourcing it from official sources. Regarding the relevance, we search with the Copernicus service requirements in mind to ensure the indexed data aligns with their needs. In terms of accessibility, we look for accessible resources in the dataset, such as web services. For functionality, before creating a dataset in CORDA, we verified that the resource loads correctly in a GIS browser. And finally, in terms of consistency, we ensure that the resource information is consistent within the dataset metadata description. Next one, please. Well, let's see a little bit what is the information we record in CORDA, we offer in CORDA to tell more correctly. The main information is extracted from the dataset metadata and stored in the CORDA database. The most relevant attributes are translated into English to populate the CORDA dataset and resource cards, both of them. And each dataset is associated with a provider, which, as said before, warranties data reliability. I would like to emphasize that the completion of data and metadata is essential to enhance the usability of the information. And in the blue rectangle are the attributes of the dataset gathered in CORDA. The attributes in bold are directly sourced from the dataset metadata. We will explain their meaning during the demo, so I am not going to go in detail now. And in the brown rectangle, you can see the most common related links, which offer, and here we offer valuable information of the dataset, as for example, data dictionary, viewer, or additional geographic information. Let's see what about the resource in the next slide. So each resource is linked to a dataset, providing access to the data described within it. In the blue rectangle, you can see the attributes of the resource gathered in CORDA. As mentioned, most of the data in CORDA is sourced from the data provider. In the brown rectangle, you can see the formats offered in CORDA. In this case, if a resource, well, Atom is not included, but Atom is as well. But if the resource has a URL format, it indicates that a human interaction is required to access the data. About dedicated resources, I would like to say that if a service is provided through an agreement and requires an authentication, CORDA uses a proxy to ensure that on one hand, that the provider data is protected within the CORDA environment, as user credentials are not displayed. And on the other hand, that authorized users have easy access to the service. For that data that require individual use authentication, information on how to proceed in that authentication is provided in the tips. Well, tips are attributes created by the content tip to enhance the resource information. It provides recommendation, tricks, and details description on the process to access to a resource. And now I give the floor to Iñaki again.
Thank you, Olga. We will jump to a demo where we will see basically how to search these spatial data services and datasets. We will also review the metadata of each of the datasets, some indicators regarding the availability of this, and then the dedicated page of the multi-country dataset. So I will stop sharing this one, and I will share CORDA. So here we are. This is CORDA. Remember that if you are not registered in CORDA, you have a register form that you can fill. The EA will accept then your request, and you will be part of the CORDA users. I will log in first of all. And here we see, first of all, the search tool. That is the main tool of CORDA. We have a basic search where we can text something into this text box, use the area to select one area, some advanced search to search by inspired theme. We have classified all of our datasets according to the inspired theme, so they can be easily findable. We have also resolution, scale, year, and so on. In this case, I will try to find some land use data of Austria. As I mentioned before, we classify all of our data sets according to the NATS statistical units. So you can also find them by the code. I will use basically 80, the country code, to go directly to Austria. Then the country is highlighted, and we can go to the search. Then we get the results of the search. As you can see, we can see here the data sets with the main attributes. We can later on go into the detail of the data sets. We have also refiners here to refine our search by data type or also by data provider, and then select the country. We have also another way to search that I would like to show you. That is basically using the search tool, using LPs, for example. And in this case, I will basically go to AT Austria. So again, but without using the Spire theme, I will just try to find the LPs data of Austria. So now we can see that we have less elements here. We have only 8 data sets, and of two, in this case of just the data providers of Austria.
And can we see how to see the coverage of a specific theme in CORDA?
Sure. For that, we have another tool that is the Explore tool that shows a color map of each of the inspired themes. This is the one for addresses, but we can go to elevation.
Yeah.
Elevation. Very well. And we can also select one of these countries. So we are basically representing the amount of data set registered in CORDA by NATS. So we can go to a country, Germany, for example, and see all the data sets for elevation for that country, or go deeper into detail and see just for Berlin, let's say the number of data sets of elevation that we have.
And how can we look for the data of a specific data provider?
In that case, as you can see, there are different ways to search, but in that case, we can use the data provider page. That is a dedicated page classifying the data sets by data providers. Then, for example, select the national mapping agencies to filter the others and go, for example, to Spain, that we have 2. And here we have, for example, the National Geographic Institute of Spain. Go in and see that they have 38 data sets registered in CORDA. And we will see here the description of the data provider and the data sets.
Yeah, let's go to see one of them in detail. The first one, for instance.
Let's go to see the PNOA.
Yeah. Okay, the information provided in CORDA has a direct dependency on the metadata. As we have said more than once, the more accurate information is provided there, the better service CORDA can offer to end users. And I am going to go fast over the description of the attributes that are provided in here. First of all, is the title. The title is harmonized across the CORDA structure, the CORDA database. So you can see the same structure for any data set, not matter which is the data provider, and the same happens with the services of their resources. Starting with the topic is the Spire theme or themes that the dataset is related to or with. The scale is the denominator of the scale that is provided in the metadata. Same for the resolution. The resolution is shown in meters according to the information that is provided in the metadata. The keywords are words that help to the location of the data, as Iñaki has shown with LPs. The abstract usually comes as well for the metadata and is the statement that enhances the reader to understand the content of the data. And attribution is the information that should be provided when reusing this data to ensure proper credit to those responsible for the creation, collection, or operation of the data, and help to maintain transparency, accountability, and data provenance. Regarding start year of timestamp and end year of timestamp, these are the years from or up to which data set is valid, relevant, or applicable. This value is also taken from the dataset metadata and is reflecting the temporal extent values. Regarding reference data, this is the most up-to-date among the datasets creation, publication, and revision dates available in the dataset metadata. Going to the related links, these are useful information related to the dataset, and here in those cases, I want to highlight that in those cases that the dataset are not according to any of the inspired themes, it's crucial to provide the data dictionary, ideally in English, because this way make the information much more easy to understand. If we have that information, we link it as a related link with the others. Regarding the metadata URL, this is not mysterious, is the URL of the dataset metadata in XML format. And for the limitation on public access, here we include the information of condition present in the dataset metadata that restrict public access to spatial data services due to any of the reasons mentioned in the Article 13.2 of the Inspired Directive. And for the conditions applying to access and use, here we put the information of the legal constraints present in the dataset's metadata under the tag constraints. Regarding contacts, this is the email of the contact point provided in the dataset metadata and can be obtained if you push the Show Contact button. Do it? Yeah. And related dataset, this is the list of datasets that are tightly related to this this dataset, usually those that cover the same territory and thematic during different periods of time or with a different resolution. Let's start to see the resources, starting with the URL 1. Again, total dependency of the accurate and complete of the information that is provided by the data provider. And here I would like to highlight that it's not needed to go inside to have access to the URL. You can choose from outside. And yeah, once inside, in this case, is recommended to go inside because the information provided in the tip is very valuable, is very helpful. But let's go step by step. In the format, we put the information about the capability of the service. In this case, the URL, as I mentioned, is something that is needed, structure in which you need to make an interaction with what is offered in the data provider's server. Status is the information about the response of this service to the monitoring process run along the if. Authentication let us know that the information has been provided through a proxy, the proxy I has mentioned before. And language is information about the language in which the information is provided in this resource. In this case, usually when this is our ultimate, like is in this case, we put English as default because there is not information in any language, let's say. And CRS is the coordinates reference system in which the resource or spatial data service is available. If there are several, we put the more popular one, for instance, the 4326. And the URL is the URL of the resource. And regarding the tips, here we can see an example of them. Are instruction provided when it's needed the interaction. We provide some information about the different reference system existing in Spain, as well as the need of be registered. You need to download more than 20 files and how to do it. And finally, the step to do that download step by step. And now let's see the OGC1 resource to explain a couple of four services. That one, for instance.
You mentioned before the copy link option here.
Yeah,
we have to access directly to the...
Without the need of entry into the resource. So you don't need to go to the details of the URLs, for instance, you can do it straightly. In any case, if you have doubts of problems by loading that service or resource, go inside to look up for the tips, because if we have experiment the same situation and achieve to solve, otherwise it's not in CORDA. We share with the end users what is the finding and how to proceed to be able to load the data properly. So in this case, I am going to explain very, very quick the fees and access constraints. Both are just regarding the OGC services, because it's the answer available in the get capabilities response of this kind of services. Would you look for fee or access constraints? And the metadata URL is the URL of the special data service metadata in XML format, if it exists. And if it exists, we add as well the metadata data, that is the data when the metadata record was last created or updated. And for this, we can see to go to the statistics if you want, Iñaki.
Yeah, we can go directly through the spatial data service page, or here in the card you have access to the statistics. What I mentioned before, the monitoring status of this service or resource, showing the daily monitoring that we have, so you will be able to check that the service was working every day, a very healthy spatial data service in this case, and with very good performance. In one case there was a peak here, probably because of an update. So we can say that this dataset, this spatial data service, is accessible, and check here in these statistics.
Okay, before going to the area of multi-country, that is the next one, let's see a couple of interesting tools available from the search tab, collection and my views. That one. Go to collection, please. Well, collection are a group of resources selected by content team according to a criteria. In this case, if you click Cadastral, go to Cadastral 1. Okay, thanks. Well, in this case, downloadable Cadastral parcel of 14 countries. But we have 29 resources, because in the case of Spain and Luxembourg, the coverage is composed by several resources. Go again to the collections, because I would like to make a special mention to the collection related with multi-country. These collections allowed easy access to the sources used to create the thematic multi-country datasets that we are going to see very soon. And to finalize with this, my views are the private collection that each CORDA user can create to have located some resources of his or her interest, group under a chosen descriptable title. And now,
yeah, for example, if you have always some resources that are used for an alert, or you can also keep it here. So let's go to the multi-country dataset dedicated page. As we mentioned, we have 7 multi-country datasets, thematic multi-country datasets, one for administrative units, another one for buildings, 4 for hydrography, land water bodies, standing waters, water courses, wetlands, and the last one, that the new one, is the one of land use. We have also some information here related to the process we follow to generate these multi-country datasets. You can also access to information related to that in this page. Let's go to see the one of water courses.
Okay. As Iñaki has said, based on inspired structure, well, Iñaki has said that we have worked over 7. So these 7 themes or topics has been work based on the inspired structure. But we have created a flattered data model with the attributes that were selected as of relevance by the Copernicus services of each of those topics. CORDA provides semantically harmonized thematic multi-country dataset based on national and regional sources, and the structure of the dataset and resource cards is analog of the one already explained. So I would like just to highlight some specific aspect of this type of datasets. regarding the metadata is constructed by referencing to the original metadata of the dataset used, and these original metadata are listed and references within the multi-country metadata. This way, we ensure that the traceability of the data is there. And regarding data links, we focus on two of them, the data model and data dictionary. Through this document, we explain the federal data model that we have used and the correspondence between the dataset attributes and the inspired attributes. Regarding fillet attributes, this file allowed end user to know the level of completeness of the attributes for each country without needing to download each geo package. We are going to see this is the case of the water course. Additionally, in the case of water course on the column on the right, we have included information on the present or absence of a stream order and its typology. That is, and just to finish, it's important to highlight that the access restrictions are maintained. This means that if any of the resources used to create a multi-country is restricted to be used by a specific Copernicus service, the restriction is kept in the multi-country. And Iñaki is going to show us how to access to the resources.
Yeah, we have also a custom download tool. I will later on show how we can directly download, but we develop a custom downloading tool. You will be able to select the country or select a specific area, cross-bordering area, for example, to download the information that is required. But you also have, as we had in the previous datasets, the resources here by country that are basically pre-built geo packages, so you can directly download this geographical information in your desktop tool. And to end with this, we just to let you know that we have a feedback form, so you can contact us whenever it's needed to let us know if you have an issue or a problem. So please contact us. And I will continue with the slides. So let me share again my screen. Sorry for this. And now I will need to swap. Very well. Okay, I will move to the one we were, sorry. Very well. This is just to mention that we have a helpdesk support, as I mentioned. You will be able to contact us through the CORDA application, but also through our email. We have a content and technical team behind this helpdesk support to give you support regarding technical issues, or also if you need a specific request of data whenever a dataset is not in CORDA, you will be able to contact us and we will try to find it through our content team and contacting the data providers. And now I will give the floor to Angela, so she can explain the role of EuroGeographics in CORDA project. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Iñaki. Next slide, please. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Angela Baker, and as José Miguel said, I'm Head of Partnerships and Sustainability at EuroGeographics. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about our members and our relationship with the Copernicus In Situ component. EuroGeographics is the voice of the European National Mapping, Cadastral and Land Registration Authorities. We're a unique international membership association covering all of geographical Europe, based in Brussels with over 55 members from 45 countries. Our members fulfill an essential role in providing official, definitive and detailed geospatial information for the public good. And as an association, we bring together these government agencies and departments who have a joint agenda. We believe in a society empowered by the use of trusted geospatial services from its members, who are the European National Mapping, Cadastral and Land Registration Authorities. Next slide, please. Our activities are based in three pillars. These are data, representation and knowledge exchange, and the work that we're doing with the EEA and the Copernicus In Situ component falls under our data pillar of activity. Next slide, please. Our data pillar of activity is focused on the provision of our members' trusted high-value data to ensure that the data is used and through its use is therefore valued. And we fulfill this through enabling access to our members' data, through the creation of pan-European datasets and the sharing of our members' expertise and knowledge. And our work with the EEA is an example of this. Next slide, please. So we've worked with the EEA for many years, and as José Miguel said, in 2021 we signed a new partnership agreement, and we wanted to work with the EEA and specifically the Copernicus In Situ component for the following reasons. We wanted to make that relationship between our members and the Copernicus In Situ more straightforward. We wanted to enable better access to our members' data. We also wanted to support the EEA as one of our strategic partners. And as more data was becoming open and available, we wanted to include more data into the Copernicus services so that you as users had access to authoritative data from the NMCAs. Next slide, please. So one of the key things that we wanted to do was to remove the legal barriers for Copernicus accessing our members' data, specifically data that was not open. And we introduced a new licensing structure for members to be able to license their data to the Copernicus services. We significantly simplified the process through the creation of a single agreement between the EEA and EuroGeographics, and then an agreement between our members and ourselves. And then the first part we did was focus on the Emergency Management Service. The main agreement contains the general terms of use for our members' data for the Copernicus services. And then the annexes have specific detail for each of the services, allowing our members to pick which service they can provide data to and which data they can provide to that service. As I mentioned, we started specifically with the Emergency Management Service, but we have now extended that to the Land and Security Services. Next slide, please. At the end of our last piece of work with the EEA, this resulted in us increasing 27 of our members signing the main agreement, 27 signing the Emergency Management Service, and 23 signing both the Land and 23 signing the Security Service. This means that 27 of our members were providing data to the Copernicus services. Next slide, please. However, as we progressed through this work, we discovered that it was not just legal barriers that were making an issue of giving access to the data, but also technical barriers. We worked with CORDA directly and engaged with our members to create dedicated technical contact points. And although this was a relatively simple point, I'm sure you can see it was extremely effective, and it allowed CORDA to have that technical contact that they could speak to if there was an issue in them, either finding out the URL or actually getting to the data. Next slide, please. We also engaged directly with our members, and that was to explain the importance of providing their data to these services so that you as the end users could have access to it, and to show them the impact that it would have and to remind them of the process of how to do this. So we did various things. We created a series of frequently asked questions that were promoted to our members. We ran 2 webinars where CORDA and the EEA both spoke. And we also created 4 case studies to demonstrate the impact of members providing their data to the services. And to summarise all of this work, we created a barriers report looking at both the legal and technical barriers, looking at what we could improve as we move forward. Next slide, please. We also provide access to CORDA of our pan-European data sets. These are open data and they are all harmonised and edge matched. Next slide. And you can see these in CORDA by looking for EuroGeographics as the data provider. You can also look up our members directly if you want a specific set of data from a national mapping or cadastral agency, as Iñaki and Olga demonstrated. Next slide, please. So we're now working directly with the CORDA team to try and continue this work and build upon it. And our aim is really to enable even more access to our members' data for you, the users, for the 3 services to meet your needs better. The first task is a continuation of the licensing work to build on removing the legal barriers. The second is about looking at synergies between some of the work that we're doing in our European funded projects with some of the work that CORDA are currently doing. The third is engaging with the national mapping and cadastral agencies to continue to explain to them the importance of providing their data. And then the fourth is providing some guidance material for our members to help them in this work. And also we will be continuing to communicate about our joint activities with our partnership with the EEA. So I'm going to hand back to Iñaki now, but if you do have any questions, please do put them in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Angela. Just one slide before starting with the questions and answers. I'm giving back the floor to José Miguel. We will send you soon a survey. We will need your help there to improve the platform itself, the application, and the way we are showing the data. And also, we will have some questions regarding the data itself, the data set itself we are sharing in CORDA, so we can start again meeting your needs and requirements. So we will appreciate a lot your help in this survey.
Okay. Thanks, Iñaki, Olga, Angela. It was a very quick run through the platform, and of course, I mean, if you have time to go through it and you want to start collecting some ideas, so you're ready whenever we send this survey, because as Iñaki has said, your feedback is super important to help us evolve the platform to fit your needs. We have a few questions. We still have a few minutes, so I will go through them. But of course, if you still want to put more questions, please feel free. I'll go first to in order. I see the question from Nathalie Delattre from Belgium about whether we prefer Inspire data or any other data. I mean, I will reply very quickly, and maybe I will pass to Iñaki or Olga. But of course, Inspire has been foundational, very important for CORDA, and the more closer to the implementation of the Inspire directive and the different guidelines, the better for us, because that allows really us to work easily with the data. But of course, if the data is not fully compliant, it's still okay for us. Although, of course, as Olga said before, should not be metadata fully compliant. It's important that we also receive extra information to understand what is ultimately the data about. I don't know if... Yes.
May I add something? Okay,
yes.
I completely agree with your answer, but just to say that if they Inspire, sometimes we find that the Inspire data is not completely filled. So Inspire always, if the it is as complete as possible, because it's just some of the attributes, the compliant attributes, just those are filled. Part of the usability of the data is lost. So Inspire is possible, but Inspire completely inform or as possible as in deep as possible with the information. And if not, we can manage with the not Inspire ones, but as we have said, with a data dictionary included, and it's possible in English to allow the end users to use it.
Yeah, I think the key here is not so much Inspire yes or no. It's really well documented data sets is what makes a big difference. With respect to the comment from Jeroen from Vito, we are really doing the CORDA team is doing a lot of effort in trying to add as many LPIS related data as possible in CORDA. That's something that we've been following, knowing how important it is for some of the Copernicus products, particularly in the context of Copernicus Land Monitoring Service. Of course, we know it's still not the full picture, and that's why we are also working on parallel tracks to see how best we can provide this data to the services.
But yes, try with LP's keyword and GSA keyword with both of them to find any information. GSA is more related with crop, and LP's is with the parcels that is used for the agreements of money with each country at agriculture. Sorry for the explanation.
No, don't worry. There are several keywords which are established by the CORDA content team whenever the inspired themes are not fully fitting the description of the dataset, so you can really easily find it. There is another question from Natalie, which is about what we prefer as download services, WFS, Atom Feed. I don't know, Olga, if you want to say something here.
Okay, the WFS service, the issue with this service is that it's not easy to download the information with this a lot of features. So when there are thousands of features, WFS could be an option, but it's really not very usable because you need to make iteration of the request and so on. So in this case, Atom Feed is preferable, or to have a FTP from which the data is ready to be downloaded or something like that. Depends on the size of the data, but in general, the size is several thousand of features. I would say Atom better than WFS.
I think here what is important is that standard solutions are the key thing here. I mean, of course, WFS, but there are other standard solutions in the market.
OGC IP feature,
exactly.
For instance, the WFS 3.0, that is a change. The OGC IP feature could work as well.
I think what is important here, and that's more a question to the service providers, those who are going to be using the data, when you reach out to us in the survey, if you have, because ultimately you work in a specific setup, if you have a preferred format, let us know, because that is a way that we can then communicate it to the data providers. The next one is about metadata standards. I guess that we are looking at ISO standard when it comes to metadata as the basis. But I don't know, Olga, if you want to say something about this.
No, I'm not sure about the question. In terms of the metadata we create for the multi-country, we are based in the ISO 1939 and ISO 19115. But I don't know, it's regarding the metadata we use any metadata that is provided. In XML format is preferably. Yeah, because this way, if it's in XML, the monitoring process goes against that XML and discover changes. So alert us that something has changed. So we review the metadata to see where the changes are and update the CORDA database accordingly. So the next one, I think, is
it's for you.
Related.
It's about the updates.
Yeah,
the updates of the data. I think it's important to clarify this point. So please, Olga.
Okay, well, we have two ways of updating information. If the information once through the monitoring, if there is an issue with a dataset, let's imagine that is a new version of the LPs and the previous year LPs disappear. So once disappear, the metadata doesn't work and we receive a message during the monitoring process letting us know that something has happened. So we look for an update version of data that has disappeared. This is one option, but sometimes happens that there is no, the database of the previous years are kept because it's interesting to be kept. And in this case, we don't have alert from the monitoring process, but we do periodical review of the geoportals in Europe to look for updates, especially in those aspects that we know that have an annually release of data, that is the case of GSA or LP's data. But anyway, if you look for the data that the CORDA have from your organization in CORDA and you discover that we are not up to date, we will really appreciate that kind of communication, because there are plenty of geoportals in Europe, a lot of work. So if you want to be proud of the information that CORDA has and you don't want to wait until we review the geoportals, we will be very grateful if you advise us.
Stress what Olga says. We have this kind of automatic and manual monitoring processes in place. But of course, if you have, for example, a huge revamp of your catalog planned, or some specific data sets that you know they are quite used and you are going to do an update, we are very, very happy if you can let us know, and we will then focus on updating this in the portal. Okay, I don't see any question. We are also a bit 1 minute over time. So I think what I would now just say is thanks to everyone for your attendance, and I hope it was useful. As Iñaki has said, we have an email where you can please contact us if you have any question. Of course, any information you want to have, just let us know. And we will really appreciate if you can reply to the survey that we will send in a few weeks' time approximately. Because that will really help us to revamp, to evolve, and to update and improve the platform for you. And let me also thank my fellow speakers today for your contribution. And yes, let me wish you a very great afternoon and evening. Thank you.